What do you think? What do you think about John Jones coming back after 3 years?
I'm excited. I mean, I think that this fight. I mean, people seem to think that like John Jones is just gonna run through Cyril, and
Nah, I'm not going that crazy.
no, I'd be but I think a lot of like I've seen a lot of that online where people just think that, but I think it's actually a pretty sick matchup, and like there's questions like John Jones is coming back off 3 years. Is he gonna be the same with all the weight he's put on, like muscle obviously, but and then Cyril, like his wrestling has been in question. Francis out wrestled him. What's John gonna be able to do? But then there's the whole, again, 3 years off, and he gained a bunch of weight to match up with these guys. It's a sick fight. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think I love the fight for John Jones. I think it's a great matchup for him.
Mhm.
I think it's also like a big enough name in the heavyweight division
Yeah.
where it's not like he's being fed someone that he's just gonna mop the floor with, which he might end up doing that anyway. But I think what's interesting is like Gon just fought for a title.
Yeah,
He's been a top contender in the UFC heavyweight division for a couple years now,
yeah,
and he's dangerous too, bro. Let's not get it twisted. Like Cyril Gane is the first heavyweight that John Jones is gonna fight too. So
Right.
that power coming back now. It's not light heavyweight, which most of those dudes are kind of heavyweights anyway when they cut to 205. But that's a big ass question mark too, bro.
yeah. No, definitely. And then I always think like Cyril Gane, like he had the big fight with Francis. He came up short. Like, what if he beats John? Like the hype that'll be behind Cyril after that would be insane. So I always just think about that stuff. Like, how does it go? What happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? Like, what is the UFC landscape like if all these scenarios go different ways? Like, so I'm excited just to see like, what if Cyril pulls it off? If John Jones beats him, what happens next? Like all that stuff is why I'm excited.
Dude, do you think he's the GOAT? We throw that word around a ton, but
I don't know. I mean, I try to stay away. I don't know. I think like I've said this before. Like I feel like the popping for substances kind of takes you out of that conversation. Like in baseball,
right.
like because I come from a baseball background. So if what's his name, Alex Rodriguez, like he's kind of been taken out of that conversation because of his cheating. Barry Bonds, like has he even made the Hall of Fame?
No.
Right, because he cheated, and it kind of just discredits you. But it doesn't seem to have that same. Like it doesn't seem like MMA fans hold it to the same degree.
Do you think it's because I've had this conversation before and I didn't agree with it, but I saw where my friend was coming from and he was actually a big baseball fan too.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, why is it what you said? Like, why is it that in fighting it's like, he pop for PEDs. But in baseball, it's like, oh, fuck that guy. He can't be in the Hall of Fame. He can't do this. His records are tainted. And he said that he thinks that a lot of them do.
In the UFC.
Yeah. Not UFC, just like fighting. Like it's more, I don't want to say it's more obvious because that's not the right word, but like people wouldn't put it past them.
Well, I think there was a time like before USADA where like everyone was.
Oh, yeah. You see
That
some of
was, like-
those pictures from back in the day. It's like what they call TRT Belfort. It was like
Yeah,
the one-
TRT Vitor, like before and after.
yeah.
Like a lot of guys had that thing where like USADA came and then the rest, the history after USADA was like it changed a lot. Like their bodies might have like, gotten a lot smaller or something.
So I think people just expected, like it's not a surprise to them that if a fighter pops for PEDs, where if it's a baseball player, a basketball player, like even football players, bro. There's been so many football players that'll pop for like a PED suspension. They're like, oh yeah, of course they take it. When a soccer player does it, like, what the hell? Why is a soccer player taking this?
Each sport has a different, like each fan base of each different sport has like a different feeling towards it as a collective.
Yeah.
I think MMA, like it seems like people think John skill wise is still the GOAT, even despite like whatever help he might have gotten from whatever help he definitely got from the cheating. Like it seems like people still think he probably would have beat these guys anyway. Like I might be wrong about that, but that's
I hear what you're saying, bro. Because also like it's still fighting. Like even if you take PEDs, like how much does it help you with your technique in jiu-jitsu? Like you still have to, like if you're a black belt, you're a black belt, but you could be on PEDs and go train jiu-jitsu now. It's not really gonna help your technique.
Not your technique, but definitely like your strength and endurance. Which
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
stuff.
and your recovery,
Yeah.
for sure.
Like if you just have extra cardio, like a significant amount just because of this substance you're taking,
Right.
or you can train way longer because of the substance you're taking, and that's going to give you the advantage. Like that stuff will add up. Those little things add up it's huge things actually.
There was a 30 for 30 on that track star who got popped for steroids like during the Olympics, like in the late 80s, maybe early 90s. And he said that the thing that changed was he'd be able to lift and run heavy on Monday, and then he'd come in Tuesday and like work the same body part, and there wouldn't be no recovery needed because of the PEDs.
Yeah.
So it's like I just went and I benched 315, right? I had a whole chest day on Monday. Usually you would not work out your chest until like Thursday, Friday.
Yeah,
again.
like I'm
Like,
sore for a while.
They'd come back like Wednesday morning, like again, just fucking lifting 315, and it's like the recovery was just sped
the
up.
muscle
And
just builds back way faster.
Yeah.
And then like in fighting, when you're beating the crap out of your body in a fight camp, if you have that kind of feeling, I would think that would just make you like way harder to beat. Especially like when John would say like, I'm not training. I didn't train for this fight, and then you come to find out there were points in his career where he was popped for doing steroids or whatever PED. Maybe like if he wasn't doing that stuff and then you add that with the no training, maybe the fights look differently. You know, maybe he doesn't win them.
dude, that's why it's crazy to think that he, like in my opinion, he's the best of all time. My favorite fighter is GSP, who I think is also in that discussion. But like John Jones has never really lost.
No.
He has that one no contest, which like every fighter I've ever talked to, like, yeah, bro, that was like he was dominating that fight. It
Yeah.
didn't matter. But the thing with John Jones, that's the craziest thing, is this like lengthy layoff. I think it was done right because he didn't just, like I was talking about this recently, how Adesanya, when he fought at 205, he kind of just took that because he knew he was going to go back to 185 anyway. Like Volk went up to 155, but he knows he's going to be at 145. Where John knew like this is going to be a temporary stay at heavyweight. Let me put the muscle on the right way. Let me not rush into anything. It's not like he easily, after he relinquished that belt, could have got a fight against a heavyweight and then go back to 205. But he knew that this is going to be a permanent stay for him.
Yeah, which is why it's so intriguing. I think.
Yeah,
he really did. He built it up really well, like you said. You know, he's changed his whole body structure, his whole body, his frame, and everything, which makes you have all these questions. Like he's fighting guys who are just as long as him now. Like he always had a huge reach advantage.
Yeah.
Like all these things. So like, how good is his skill going to translate? How will his power translate? Will he be able to wrestle with these like bigger guys and still not be able to tire out while he has more weight to carry? Like it's all of it's very interesting. Like when you're heavier, it's harder to move around. Like it tires your body out more. So he's going to be heavier. If he's being nimble and quick on the feet, like that'll probably tire him out faster. Taking down a bigger guy, that's going to tire him out faster.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is just intriguing.
Hell yeah, that's the perfect word, man. There's so many different outcomes and so many fascinating things within the fight that I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know if it's just me because I've already bet it and I bet on John Jones like early on, but I think also like the aura of him coming back would be dope for the UFC and like for MMA fans that have him coming back and still being a thing. You know, like I feel as if this next Conor fight, we're guaranteed to have one more Conor moment.
Yeah.
Where like people are like, yo, bro, Conor's back. But if he goes out there and gets starched by Chandler, which is a super dangerous fight anyway,
right.
It's like, all right, man.
How much more can we be super into this guy?
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's why I think this Conor fight and like with John Jones too. Like John Jones might be a little bit different because like we haven't seen him lose where Conor's coming off these losses like consecutively and he hasn't had a real win in a really lengthy time. Like the Cowboy win didn't really age well, especially like I hate when that happens to like the OGs, bro. As they're going out, they just get fed these like young prospects and it's like Cowboy would have like mopped the floor off all these dudes if it wasn't
in his
like,
heyday.
Yeah, you know, but it's just like you're there for like that's what happened with Tony Ferg too.
Yeah, like a guy will get old and like pass his prime, and then they'll use his big name against the younger killers and be like, oh, this young guy beat Tony Ferguson.
Right.
But it's not the same Tony Ferguson.
It's not,
yeah.
bro. Like Frankie Edgar in 135. Like he was getting.
He was one.
He was a dude who would beat all these guys, but now at the tail end, it's like, oh, here's Sandhagen, here's all these, Cheeto Vera.
Well, like on the other side of that is like those guys. At least those guys are still getting paid. Like Tony Ferguson, they could have cut him, but at least he's still getting paid.
That's fair.
And then it's up to him if he wants to keep going in there. Like he's the one choosing.
That's fair.
To put himself at risk. So
that's a good point. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Valentina fight?
I feel like she's gonna win.
Yeah, I mean that is.
Yeah.
But I think Grasso is very dangerous. She has amazing boxing, and last time we saw Valentina, it was a split decision.
Close fight.
Someone did give it to Talia Santos. I think this is going to be a fun fight. I don't think she's just going to steamroll Grasso.
No, I mean, hopefully it's a very exciting fight. I could see Valentina like coming back and being like, I need to right the wrong of the last fight. But then you got Erin Blanchfield facing the winner of this fight, and she's 23, and she looks like a killer. And I'm pretty sure Talia Santos like gave Valentina a lot of trouble with the grappling. So then Erin is like a really good grappler. That makes that whole division kind of exciting again,
Future champ Erin Blanchfield, what do you think?
Definitely. At some point. Yeah. If she doesn't beat Valentina like in their next fight, if that's the fight they make, then but eventually she'll like
because she's still young enough.
Yeah, like she'll have time. She's like 23, so hopefully, yeah, like I mean, if she beats her, then I think she'll have a run for sure. But if not, I think she'll be able to come back and get it again.
I have this thing where I call it's like the future champ list. I think there's a future champ this weekend, bro. I love Shavkat Rakhmonov, bro. So,
I've missed all his recent fights. I haven't been able to see him, so I feel like I don't have like a say on what. But I hear he's so good. You know what I mean? But
so here's the thing with him, right? Like, he is 16-0.
Oh wow.
And 16 finishes, 100% finish rate, and I think he got lost in the future champ thing because like Chimaev was fighting at 170.
Yeah.
And then you had like Leon was there. Mazola had a little bit of a thing going on a couple of years ago, and Leon Edwards. And it's like Rakhmonov is just over there just starching people. Choked out Neil Magny. Got a tough fight. This is the fight, bro. Truthfully, I'm the most excited for.
Who's he fighting?
Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
Jeff Neal, dude, coming off a monster win. He beat Vicente Luque and knocked him out. Luque had never been stopped in his career, and he violated Luque. That was bad because I'm a big Luque guy.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of money on that fight.
Isn't Luque on? He's like on a losing streak now.
Yeah.
But he was hot.
He was. Yeah.
He was a great year.
He was kind of like the sleeper in the 170 who, like, I would have loved to see him and Usman fight.
Yeah, I always thought that was going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Luque's got to be the next guy at one point.
So now you got Rakhmonov and Jeff Neal. That's going to be like, that's fight of the night.
Who do you think is going to win?
I mean, it's hard to pick against Rakhmonov. Yeah. But this is a tough fight. Like, it's going to say a lot. You know what this fight kind of reminds me of, bro, a little bit? Of the fight that went down a couple of weeks ago with like kind of like Islam and Volk, where like we knew how good Volk was, but like fighting up, you know how like he fought up a weight class and everyone was like, yo, this is going to be a big test because of weight, and like Volk like held himself to a high standard, and people left that like, yeah, Volk lost, but he really won. Like more people were talking about Volkanovski than they were Islam.
He won like the public opinion.
Yeah. And that happens a lot of times with fighters.
That's kind of sick. Like that was I feel like that was his breakout into like superstardom.
It really was.
Like people really like starting to root for Volk. I feel like for a while like no one really cared.
Well, I also think he fell victim to beating Max, and Max is such a like who dislikes Max Holloway?
If you win a fight and people don't think you like people, it's controversial whether you won or not.
Right.
Like, people just root against you.
Right. But I'm also saying like he beat Max, and
Right.
Max is so lovable. Like everyone says good things about Max Holloway, and he beat him the way he did. He beat him 3 times, but then the last time was like, holy shit, he put it on him. It was bad.
Yeah.
And then Volk ends up beating like Korean Zombie, and he beats Ortega too, which was an impressive win. But you're right, when he fights Islam, it's like, all right, this guy's actually a superstar, dude. Like he lost, but he was a smaller guy. They were making fun of his height, like, where's short man? Like that's what Islam kept saying.
Yeah.
And he had the weight disadvantage too, and he went and I mean, I thought Islam won that fight anyway, but a lot of people were another round, like Volk wins that fight.
But like
you know what I mean?
for like popularity wise, like that fight like put Volk
fuck yeah.
in into like I feel like there's some guys who it takes a while for the fans to like get behind, but then if they keep winning, they have that moment. Like Kamaru. Like no one was super excited about Kamaru, and then when he knocked out Jorge, it was like different level of fame. Tons of new followers. Like that they use that clip for every promo. So like that, you kind of need one of those moments. Like just because you're champ doesn't mean you get like, and even if you're champ for a really long time, it doesn't mean you're gonna have that like superstardom. You have to like do something big for the fans to earn it. I feel like putting on such a good performance against Islam, that was Volk's moment for that.
Nah, absolutely, bro. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think like Rakhmonov and Neal, I think this is gonna be I don't think he's gonna get a finish because Neal is very, very tough, very tough. But I think you could leave that fight with, all right, Rakhmonov is next.
For the title shot?
Yeah.
Wow. What's Jeff Neal's rank?
I think it's 7 versus 10.
I would feel like they would make him fight one more, like, in the ranking.
Yeah, because also, like, you got Bilal is there. You got Covington still. Obviously, you got Usman and Leon fighting again.
I feel like Bilal definitely deserves the next title shot.
Fuck yeah, dude. Absolutely.
But him and Rakhmonov would be a sick fight.
Yeah.
From what I hear.
Rakhmonov, Shavkat is that. So it piggybacked off what we were talking about with Blanchfield, but I think future champ, bro, dude's a problem. And this week is gonna be very, very telling because Jeff Neal is not a layup fight. Like
so even if Khamzat stays at 170, you think?
I mean, yeah, dude. I think Rakhmonov he's every bit of Chimaev and some, like with the striking and the subs.
Yeah. Wow. I've heard people say that. Yeah.
And dude, I think Chimaev is just like, bro. I think he's done at 170. I think he's just gonna go to 85. Less of a weight cut for him. Like he was a big 170,
and he's
bro.
Like a giant. Yeah.
Yeah, he's massive. Dude.
I would love. I always thought like he could be double champ if he got the 170 belt, and then he could just go up to 180. Especially if like Izzy or Pereira, because like the wrestling and the wrestling striker mismatch. I always thought that he could definitely do that.
Is there any other fight you're excited for this weekend? That's not like we mentioned the top 3 fights.
Honestly, dude, I've been so like in the weeds of like filming for Merab's camp and editing the podcast. I kind of haven't like looked at who everyone else is fighting, but so yeah, not really. I'm just gonna watch.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna enjoy the card.
Are you going?
I don't think so. I don't. Aljo's bringing his girlfriend or his fiance, and I don't know if Merab's got a ticket or not. But
yeah, he also fights next week too.
Yeah,
so
he might go. I'll probably just watch it at home. Enjoy the fights. How about you? I mean,
yeah, I'm going. I try to go.
You got tickets?
Yeah, we bought them a couple months ago.
That's sick.
Yeah, paid a hefty penny, but it's the one sporting event, bro, where I don't mind dropping money on. Because I'm also someone that like I'll probably be there for the second fight of the night, and then going on, depending on like what the pregame is gonna be and what the vibe's gonna be like beforehand. But I'm usually someone because I'm a degenerate too. I like betting.
Yeah.
So I'll bet on the fights too, and especially if there's, like Ian Gary is fighting this weekend. I'm fascinated by him. He's that Irish dude at 170. So he's fun.
I'm excited about that fight.
Yeah,
I like watching him.
He's not going to fight that early, but he's on the prelims, so I'll definitely be in the building for the prelims. But I like going early on.
Isn't Bo Nickel fighting?
Bo Nickel is opening the pay-per-view. Yeah.
I'm excited for him.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
We were just debating on Aljo's podcast if Bo Nickel would beat Khamzat, and Aljo thinks, yeah.
You think that's the wrestler bias from Aljo?
I don't know. That's beyond my expertise level, but it's just exciting to have those two guys in the similar weight class.
Yeah.
And Bo's what's it? It's his second fight in the UFC or first?
Well, this is gonna be his debut. He fought on the Contender Series a bunch of times, but this is his first like big show
And they're
fight.
putting him on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, they're trying to make him a star.
That's
bro.
crazy. Well, he must have actual draw already
Yeah.
for him to be like being put there.
Oh, dude, he's like a massive NCAA wrestler. Like
Yeah.
obviously the accolades, but he's known. Like I have a buddy of mine who his favorite sport is college wrestling.
Really?
Like he watches all the Big 10, all the Big 12, like all that stuff, Iowa and Penn State and all those guys. Like he's familiar with all of them. And he's like, yo, this kid's gonna be a problem. And he was
Yeah.
telling me this before he went into the UFC.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, if he picks it up, he's gonna be a beast.
I heard he's like very smart about how he's like playing out his career. He wants to kind of take the Sean O'Malley approach, like not take too big of fights too early,
Yeah.
play it slow. And I think if he's got that mindset and he's got all the hype behind him and he's obviously like a hard guy to beat, I think he's gonna be a big deal one day.
Dude, I used to always point the finger at guys like O'Malley when they'd say like, you know, they're kind of picking their fights. And then when he brought up the contract breakdown, where he was like, why am I going to take a title fight or a number one contender fight where I'm making my first contract pay?
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense.
No.
And then I was like, holy shit, dude, that's the one thing across all sports that my opinion has changed the most on. It's like the business side of things.
Yeah.
Because I used to do a podcast with Will Blackman. He was a 12-year DB in the NFL, won a Super Bowl with the Giants, and we were doing this show. And I kept telling him, I'm like, bro, there's so many goodies that you're giving me that we're not recording. But like understanding the business side of things, he's like, bro, you should always be pro athlete.
Yeah.
Whether it's like organization and team versus the athlete, like you always have to. I'm like, why? And then he broke it down, and I was like, damn, bro, I never thought of it like that. He's like, of course, because you're not in the trenches. Like you're a civilian. You're a fan, so you don't get it. But ever since then, bro, I'm always
100%.
like an NFL running back wants to hold out because he wants a new contract. By all means, you're a fighter and you want to negotiate a new deal. By all means, like what Francis did, like always get behind them because your shelf life as an athlete is. It's not like you could be a doctor. We could do it for 40 years,
especially in a sport where like the longevity of your life is kind of on the line. Like if you take too many punches, it can lower the quality of your life severely. So while you're in that heat, you should be capitalizing on it as much as you feel is appropriate. So yeah, like, and then Sean actually backed it up kind of when he beat Peter Yan, or like even some people think he lost, but at least he had a great performance. Like it kind of justified all the strategy he had with like picking his fights and not fighting the hardest guys too early, which people would criticize him for, but then he went and fought the number one contender and beat him. That kind of backed up everything he was doing, I feel, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be fun, dude. The 135 division is tough for your boy, man.
But he's the best.
He's
what
the
can
best.
I say?
Nah, you are right, bro. You are right. And he shut up a lot of people's mouths in that second Yan fight, man.
That was
I remember, dude, my friends and I actually, we had bet on him.
Oh, good.
Because the first Yan fight, it was like kind of like a pick'em.
Yeah.
So basically like a coin flip.
Yeah.
And then the second fight, he was like a plus 380 underdog.
Crazy.
And we were like, yo, bro, the first fight was a pick'em. Now this is crazy because he was getting slandered throughout all that. Like, why is he celebrating with the knee, and why is he like doing all this
People
stuff?
started
and
to hate him.
They were hating on him, bro, bad. And then my buddy Boss was like, bro, we gotta bet on Aljo in this fight.
Yeah.
He's like, the line makes no sense.
Yeah.
And you know, when he had the neck issues and he came back, I'm like, bro, he's been on a tear ever since.
Dude.
Like that was like, all right, quiet time.
Yeah.
You guys can't say nothing.
And that was my first fight that I filmed with him.
Oh.
So when he won, I forgot to mention this, but I had a TikTok account where I was like always talking about MMA. I had like 10,000 followers at the time. And so I start getting the behind the scenes stuff at Aljo's camp. And I start getting on my TikTok. I'm seeing what Aljo's doing in training and how amazing he looks in training. And I'm like, yo, he's gonna beat Yan. Mark my words. And this was when no one thought Aljo was gonna beat Yan. So I start saying this on TikTok. I'm getting all this hate on TikTok. People calling me stupid. And then when he won, I like took a selfie and I was like, oh my God. And I have this up. I wish my phone's over there. I'll show you after. But it was literally. Maybe I'll send it to you so you can put it in.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Dude, I look crazy because I was so hyped, and then I posted a TikTok after. I was like, it was him at the press conference, and I just recorded it and I just put on the screen, told you so. And that alone, that got 40 some thousand views. I was like, yeah, I told you guys. All you guys called me crazy. You guys also tried to slander my name. And then obviously they tried to slander Aljo's name.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. He backed it up, which that has to be the craziest comeback ever. Just like,
oh yeah, when you factor in all the slander and the hate he was getting,
dude, and he didn't break mentally. He was reading that every day.
Bro, the best soundbite ever was Ray Longo in the corner. He's like, Aljo, look at the motherfucker.
Oh my.
It's like so Long
Legendary.
Island, iconic. Bro.
Ray's the best
the best
dude ever. Yeah.
Dude, this was fun, man.
This is awesome.
I'm sure I'll have you on the show again because we just vibe and the conversations were great. I love that you got to tell your story too.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
because I hope people legit, man, no bullshit. And I told you that from the first time I met you that I hope people get some inspiration from that to go out there and put yourself out there. You don't have no agent, you don't have no manager. You got to do that all on your own. It's the same thing with me in content creating. I tell people all the time how I have to be my agent. I have to be my manager. I have to go and apply for these jobs and these opportunities.
And actually create value for people so that they want you to stay around.
Right, right. And you have to be like, have realistic expectations for what your work is.
Yeah. You can't think you're hot shit.
Yeah, but also don't go and tell people that you're a video editor when you're not. You know what I mean? Because then you'll get exposed and then you'll be blackballed in that industry. Like 100%. Imagine if you were telling him all these things about editing and then you didn't. Mm-hmm. And then when one of his teammates this kid Jake Fine hit me up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro, he don't know what he's doing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like your reputation, it
totally
precedes you.
But then if you do a good job, people will recommend you.
That's the flip side, the positive side. So I definitely wanted people to hear that, man. And I hope people will start, pursue that passion. It's really not, the hardest thing is to get it going. Yeah. But then after that, a lot of cool shit can happen. So I'm glad you got to share that, bro.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you letting me tell my story.
Where can people find you on social media?
My personal account is at Jake Fine Media, but if you want to see all my work, follow Aljo on YouTube, Funkmaster MMA, or you can check my other Instagram account, The Weekly Scraps. It's at The Weekly Scraps, and it's like a whole MMA media account. You can see all the stuff I do.
Dope, everybody. At Nick Diaz10 is you can find me, veteransminimum.com for all things VM. Go to the Patreon if you're not a Patreon member, or if you aren't, or you are, go and give us your thoughts on the new logo. We're going to be changing things up a little bit over here, and we will be back later this week with some NFL and NBA, and then get your questions in, like I mentioned in the beginning of the episode, for the People's Podcast with Boss. He'll be on next week, so we'll catch you guys next time.